All right, you may be seated. All right, good morning, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. My father was the largest figure in my life. And that's not unusual. I think for a lot of people, one or both parents are probably the largest figure overall in your life. So that wasn't unusual. My father was a Holocaust survivor, and to be honest, growing up in Oak Park, it wasn't that unusual either. There was a large survivor community in Oak Park, whether it was the Einstein Lodge of B'nai B'rith or the Sherita Plaita services. So it was a little unusual, but not very unusual. What made my father unusual is that he was one of the first to talk about his experiences. And he spoke at a lot of the schools in the area, a lot of the Hebrew schools, public schools, day schools. He was really one of the first to talk about his experiences. So that was unusual. But he shared his experiences with me beginning when I was 4 years old. And I actually have proof because there's a Jewish News article from 1967 that was written by Charlotte Dubin. That's how long I've known Charlotte, since I was 4. And she wrote the article about my father, my picture, I think the first and last time, except maybe my bar mitzvah picture in the Jewish News. 4 years old when I learned about what happened. And I spent a lot of my life telling his story, telling the details of his story. Probably in 8th grade, I made a presentation, talked about it through high school, through college, through my adult years, and I'm glad I did. It's a powerful story and it needs to be heard, but I also realized that I largely defined myself and my path in life because of his story. And when he passed away in 2018, I asked myself, so who am I now? Whose life have I actually been living? I was telling his story, but I wasn't sure I even knew my own story. And I was thinking about this with the Torah portion today. As Emma beautifully told the story, Jacob sent away his family, his whole community that he was with, and spent the night by himself preparing to see his brother Esau. And the Torah has a strange word here that it didn't occur to me how weird it was until this week. It says, Vayivater Yaakov levado, that Jacob was left alone, and Vaye'avek ish imo ad alot hashachar, and this strange figure wrestled with him until the break of dawn. Well, we already know that Jacob's alone. It said he sent away everybody else, so why would it say that Jacob is alone? And I think it's because for the very first time in his life, he thought about who he is without everyone else telling him who he was supposed to be. It was the first time in his life that he tried to live his own story and not living someone else's. Until this moment, he was living his mother's dream. He was living according to the very low expectations that his father had for him. He defined himself by his brother, who was athletic and brave and provided for the family. And he had no idea who Jacob was. And finally, when he is levado, when he is alone, he can say, this is who I actually am. And that's when that mysterious being wrestled with him and gave him that name. As Emma told us, you will no longer be Jacob, you will be Israel. You will be the one who struggles divinely. Jacob's name, Yaakov, means to hold on to the heel. Because when they were born, Esav was born first, they're twins, and Yaakov came out holding on to the heel of his brother, which is a powerful symbol, that he had just been holding on to his brother. And he was trying to live up to or down to his parents' expectations. But for the first time, he was able to struggle for what mattered to him. And it isn't easy. To get the name Yisrael means your life is going to be a struggle, but it's going to be your struggle. And you're going to be able to struggle for what is meaningful for you. That you are finally going to be able to live an authentic life, and you are finally able to bring your entire self. I share my story partly because my therapist thought it would be a good idea. And it was. I'm feeling better. But all of us have these dominant figures in our lives, and we may not even be aware that we were living their story and not ours. We were living their dreams and not ours. Jacob teaches us that we can figure out who we are without everyone else's opinions of who we are supposed to be, and it's not easy. And it might mean that some relationships change, some relationships end, because they don't want to hear who you really are. They only want to keep their thought of who you are. But it will also mean that those relationships that endure will be based on truth and authenticity, and they will be better and richer and more life-affirming. I was pushing 60 by the time I figured this out, so it's not too late. Every one of us can decide, who do we need in our lives? Who do we need to be? And who can we stop being because everyone else thought we should be this way? And when we live that truth, that will truly set us free. Shabbat Shalom.